Thank you for watching our video. Please give us a big like, subscribe to our channel for new videos every day with amazing cars. Leave us your opinion in the comment section on the video. Thank you. When talk turns to American V8 powered, competition-pedigreed 1960s sports car Cinderella stories, the discussion usually starts and ends with the Shelby Cobra. Shelby was hardly the first to implement the lightweight body, American V8 strategy. Allard beat him to the punch by nearly a decade, but his success inspired numerous low-volume manufacturers and racing wildcatters to adopt the blueprint for their own projects. Of them, the Cheetah, a.k.a. Bill Thomas's Cheetah, endures as one of the most enigmatic. With only 11 first-generation examples built and fewer surviving, spotting one in the wild is remarkable enough. Now the sole single-owner, unrestored example is headed for auction on May 10 in New York City. A tiny litter. Born during Southern California's sports car racing heyday, the Cheetah was the brainchild of self-taught engineer Bill Thomas. Nicknamed Mr. Corvette for a string of nearly 100 victories racked up in Corvettes of his creation, Thomas parlayed his success into a contract with General Motors as a performance guru of sorts. After successfully prepping GM products for road circuits, drag racing, and even NASCAR, Thomas in 1962 went about the business of preparing a Corvette Sting Ray for what should have been another dominating season. His plans were foiled, however, when Carroll Shelby appeared and began stealing SCCA podiums and headlines with his Ford-powered Cobra. The following year, GM issued its notorious ban on corporate racing, and the Vette program went dark, although backroom dealings kept some GM product on the track unofficially. Thomas later contacted Ed Cole at Chevrolet and pitched the idea of going after the Cobra with a new Chevrolet-powered vehicle, one that would be produced in small enough numbers that it would be viewed as a rogue project that could fly under the radar of Chevrolet administrators. Once given the nod, Thomas had employee Don Edmonds work up a series of drawings, one of which was reportedly rendered directly on a workshop desk. In a comprehensive 1981 feature story in Automobile Quarterly, Volume 19, Number 3, about the very car detailed here, Thomas remarked humorously that he kept the drawings because people who joined the team later were always convinced that somewhere there was a roll of prints that had come from some mysterious place that we were working from. Regardless of its origins, the design employed 1.0 and 1.3-inch diameter 4,130 chrome moly tubing for the frame, a fully independent front suspension, and a modified 1963 Corvette setup in the rear. The wheelbase was 90.0 inches with a 59.0-inch front and 57.0-inch rear track. Brakes were drums all around behind 15 by 7.0-inch American Racing magnesium wheels. The heart of the diminutive beast was a fuel-injected 327 cubic-inch Chevrolet V8 mated to an aluminum Corvette 4-speed. Due to the Cheetah's compact dimensions and the rearward mounting of the powertrain, there is no drive shaft. The output shaft drives the rear differential directly through a single universal joint. Alloy on fiberglass. After a pair of aluminum-bodied prototypes proved the design feasible and one was sent to Detroit for a secret inspection by the GM brass, the team switched to fiberglass bodies and began limited production. This is where the car now going to auction comes in. Recently confirmed as car number 4, conflicting reports indicated it was the 3rd or 5th. This vehicle was sent to Daytona for performance benchmarking, where the 1,510-pound Cheetah hit reported 215 miles per hour officially. A Cheetah posted a 185-mile-per-hour top speed in the quarter-mile at Elkhart Lake in June 1964. It did it again in September of the same year to prove it wasn't a fluke. Sadly, the Cheetah never got to go head-to-head with the Cobra in a high-profile, officially sanctioned competition during its heyday. Because of its low production numbers, the SCCA put it in the virtually unregulated C Sports/modified big bore class in 1963, where it was competing with Chaparrals, Lawless, and McLarens. To add insult to injury, in 1964 the FIA increased the production car homologation requirement to 1,000 cars, a figure Thomas knew he could never achieve even with corporate support. That essentially eliminated any chance of the production class sports car garage match of the year playing out. When the Cheetah did race a Cobra, it was usually because the Cobra had been so heavily modified that tech inspectors pushed it over into the modified category. Even against the more serious racing specials, however, the Cheetah managed to win 11 major races in 1964 alone and claimed numerous local and minor event victories all over the country over several years. GM was no longer interested if it could run straight up against the Cobra, though, so Bill Thomas and crew turned their attentions to other projects, including a NASCAR program, funny cars, and a Chevrolet Big Block Mark IV program. In September 1965, the shop was involved in a fire that destroyed the back and tooling for the new long-tailed Cheetah, often identified as the Super Cheetah, as well as several Cheetah parts intended for cars in various states of assembly. Referred to as the Bud Cluster-Rat car, the Cheetah featured here wearing the competition number 64 is widely regarded as the most complete and original example extant. It has been inspected and certified as such by Bill Thomas III, son of the Cheetah's creator, as well as a few other Cheetah experts. Featuring a period original Chevy 327 cubic inch V8 with Rochester fuel injection, a Muncie M20 series transmission, a C2 Corvette differential, stock drum brakes, and a racing tachometer, it stands as a virtual time capsule. Both Thomas and Cluster-Rat, its original buyer, agree that the original highly modified 470 horsepower Corvette 327 with Thomas-designed dual-air meter Rochester fuel injection was traded to fellow Cheetah owner and driver Ralph Salyer shortly before this car was sold to Sam Goins of Ohio in 1965. Goins campaigned the car in amateur racing and has been the sole owner for more than 50 years. Unassailable provenance, despite the rumors. While there is no question that the car headed to auction is a genuine first-generation Cheetah, there is some debate regarding its exact number. As is often the case with low-volume manufacturers, few production records exist, resulting in often wild and inaccurate speculation from collectors and historians. As is also true of the Cobra to a lesser extent, the matter is further complicated by replicas produced by both fiberglass trends which built and sold a fiberglass body popular with drag racers and later by a short run of Cheetah continuation cars made in Arizona by BTM LLC, under agreement with Bill Thomas Motors, before that license arrangement ended in October 2009. While the Thomas family and Bill Thomas Motors have issued a certificate of authenticity confirming that the Goins car is number 4, their former partner at BTM feels otherwise. Also concerning is Bill Thomas' IES assertion that the only Cheetah to be issued an official ID tag and serial number is the car sent to Chevrolet for inspection, although some owners would assign their own VIN tags and numbers to register them for the street. He does confirm the widely held belief that just 11 first-design Cheetahs, including the prototype, were produced during the original program and that some wrecked cars were later rebuilt using fresh bodies and parts. Bill Thomas III told Car and Driver that while he believes the aforementioned Automobile Quarterly article is the best piece ever done on the Cheetah, it too has many inaccuracies regarding the timeline and production numbers. As a side note, the aluminum-bodied car sent or sold, depending on the source to Chevrolet for inspection is rumored to reside in a private collection in Michigan. In its 50 years under Goins' guardianship, the Cheetah has accumulated less than 100 hours of operation. It has scheduled to cross the auction block on May 10 at Guernsey's. But first, the car will appear at Connecticut's Lime Rock Park Circuit on May 4 and 5 for viewing. Later it will be moved to the auction location at 93rd Street and Park Avenue in New York City. While the circumstances surrounding the Cheetah, as is the case for other highly desirable low-volume vehicles, may provide a convenient point of entry for unscrupulous sellers, the extensive documentation and two-owner history of the Cluster-Rat, Goins car provides an unassailable provenance. If the name Guernsey S.O.S.T. exactly resonate in the ears of auto collectors as an auctioneer on the level of more famous automotive auction houses, Guernsey's co-founder Arlen Ettinger is well versed in the subject of vintage race cars, as well as the pop culture and non-traditional collectibles on which the auction house has built its reputation. It's worth noting that the fully restored Cheetah number 006 failed to meet the reserve at a high bid of $850,000 at Barrett Jackson's Scottsdale auction in 2017, and that the Allen Green Chevrolet Cheetah number 007 sold for $660,000 at Trousseau and Steele's 2018 Scottsdale sale. This new auction is one worth watching. Thank you for watching our video. Please give us a big like, subscribe to our channel for new videos every day with amazing cars. Leave us your opinion in the comment section on the video. Thank you.